Imagine coming home from work, exhausted and eager to unwind. As you step inside your house and head to your bedroom, you discover your husband cheating on you with another woman in your own bed. Witnessing such betrayal irreversibly changes everything. This is precisely what happened to our protagonist, Hae-soo. During a break at work, Hae-soo inadvertently fell asleep and dreamt of catching her husband cheating. Realizing her break was nearly over, she quickly returned to work. As soon as she arrived, Hae-soo's boss intercepted her and requested a conversation. He handed her this month's salary in advance, totaling 1.5 million won, as per her request. He explained his frustration, having rushed to withdraw the money after she insisted against depositing it into her account. He expressed how much he respects her hard work and considers her a valuable member of the team, just like family. He didn't want to lose someone like her as an employee. Hae-soo expressed her gratitude. When her boss asked about her financial situation, she noted the challenge of high interest rates, making repayment difficult. Inquiring about her husband, since her boss heard he had recently gotten a job, Hae-soo explained that he was still in his apprenticeship stage and struggling to earn. She assured her boss that he was diligently working and things would improve soon. Her boss remarked that her husband should naturally work hard because she works tirelessly. Hae-soo returned to her duties, and one of the customers asked for more pork belly and called her Auntie. As Hae-soo served the customer, she overheard a couple talking about how much they cared for each other. This made her reflect on her own life, and she began an internal monologue. Couples in love are beautiful. Whether their love is a first-rate romance or a third-rate romance, their hearts shine brightly as one. Maybe it's just because youth is beautiful, a youth that dares to love passionately and get hurt. Does that mean my lukewarm life, which has already passed its prime, is no longer beautiful? The workday ended, and Hae-soo was getting ready to go home when her co-worker expressed irritation at people calling Hae-soo Auntie. Hae-soo replied that it was expected since she's a married woman and a housewife. Her friend then said, "This is annoying. People are calling you Auntie, but you are very pretty. You are a beautiful 33-year-old woman." They laughed together and then went their separate ways toward home. As Hae-soo walked home, she began to reflect on her friend's words. She thought, "I thought you were prettier when you said that. She's easygoing, bright, and an easily likable person. All the youth in the world seemed beautiful and brilliant. That's why I was jealous, because I am no longer beautiful." When Hae-soo arrived home, her husband started complaining about her not dressing up or wearing makeup. He asked why she was walking around without makeup, saying it made him not want to come into the house. She replied that she couldn't afford makeup when they couldn't even pay the rent. He retorted that girls who work part-time jobs with lower salaries than hers still manage to wear makeup all the time, accusing her of being lazy and making excuses. Finally, he told her she needed to put on some makeup because your husband would like that. Hae-soo sat silently, her internal monologue swirling. Does love also grow old as time passes? Our relationship is worn out and tattered like a damp and old basement. A love that withered away faster than youth. A love that has long since dried up. So, is it the years that have withered me? Or is it the drudgery of working day and night to fill the hole in the bank balance? Is it you who makes me not beautiful? Or am I the one who lost my light because I love you? The next day, Hae-soo headed to her job at a flower shop. The girl who worked with her was shocked to learn that Hae-soo also worked at a butcher shop on weekday afternoons, at a motel reception on weekends, and as a florist in the mornings. Astonished, the girl asked, "Can anyone handle such a schedule?" Hae-soo calmly replied, "Relax and put on your apron. We need to open the store." The girl was amazed that despite all the stress, Hae-soo remained focused on her work. Hae-soo began reflecting on her past internal monologue and what had happened to her, saying, "All I've ever done is work. I haven't taken a break since I became an adult, except for the day I went to the ER with the flu when I was 24. Initially, I was busy managing my married life at a young age, without any help from my parents." Then, she explained that her husband had borrowed a lot of money under her name. He apologized, and she asked, "How much money did you borrow under my name?" At that moment, everything changed. She continued, "When I faced the debt that needed to be paid, I didn't feel particularly sad or depressed. I think I was rather calm, as if telling myself that if I worked hard enough, I'd pay it back someday. But occasionally, An unexpected rush of emotions would hit me so hard that I wanted to cry. I still have some debts faster than light. Then, a guy entered the store. Hasu's co-worker nudged her and said, "The Rose guy is here." Hasu looked puzzled. "The Rose guy?" she asked. Her friend explained, "He's a handsome man who buys a rose every day. We don't know his name, so the part-timers just call him that." Hasu watched as her co-worker walked straight to take his order, but accidentally bumped into Hasu without noticing. The girl asked the guy what flowers he wanted to order. However, the guy's eyes wandered until he noticed Hasu. He smiled and looked straight at her, saying, "I'd like to place an order. Please take my order." Hasu was taken aback and thought to herself, "What the hell? He's not that handsome guy who buys roses every day. He seems kinda weird." Despite her confusion, she managed to ask him, "A bouquet of roses, is that right?" The guy's face lit up. "Yes, you remember? I'm glad." Hasu started preparing his order, her mind drifting as she worked. In this world, there are people who are the center of everyone's attention, like the protagonist of a novel or movie. And there are others who are like pathetic extras in a story no one wants to hear about. That man was the former at first glance. And in my case, it's always been the latter, much to my annoyance, she thought. She walked over to him and handed him the order, continuing her internal monologue. Maybe that's the reason. This man who suddenly barged into my life, which was indifferent to everything but work and my husband, has left a deep impression on my mind. The girl who worked with Hasu was amazed and shocked by what had happened. She thought she'd been ghosted, but then she understood. She said to Hasu, "Did you see that? The guy wanted to order, but he wanted you to take his order, not me. I think he comes here just to see you." Hasu was puzzled. The girl continued, "He only comes to the store on weekday mornings when you work here, and he never speaks to the boss or me. But this is the first time I've seen him here." The girl was shocked and replied, "What? How could you not notice a guy like him who comes here to buy flowers every day? It's already been several months." Hasu thought to herself, and then remembered she had made a similar bouquet every single day. The girl who worked with her said, "It's not surprising, given your schedule. It's not easy for you to remember a regular customer. But somehow, it's still strange that you don't remember his face. I still remember the handsome guy I saw on the subway 10 years ago." She continued, "In my opinion, this guy is interested in you." Hasu replied mockingly, "You need to stop talking nonsense and get to work." The girl insisted, "It's not nonsense. Didn't you see him earlier? He was only looking at you, Hasu." Hasu retorted, "Did the young man take some medicine? To like some old woman. He looks 10 years younger than me." The girl replied, "You don't know anything. Nowadays, younger men dating older women is the trend. You never know, maybe he's genuinely interested. You are so pretty after all." Hasu responded, "I guess all the pretty people are dead if I'm considered pretty." The girl was shocked. "You are pretty, it's the truth. Don't people tell you that?" Hasu began to remember her friend from her other job who had told her the same thing. She thought to herself, "I was told recently. I knew it was all a nice lie to make a poor lady feel better, so it was more awkward than pleasant to hear. It was a little funny, too. Given that I am not loved by the man at home, I am hearing such things from others." The girl kept trying to cheer her up, saying, "Do your best. You two might be a good match." Jesus shocked the girl by saying, "I have a man." The girl was very surprised. "I had no idea. You should have told me sooner. So you have a man. What kind of person is he?" Jesus didn't answer this question. Her workday ended, and she went home before her husband arrived. When he got home, he carelessly threw his things on the floor like a little kid, saying, "I'm tired." He asked her for a glass of water, then said, "Don't you have anything boiled besides plain water?" She replied, "There is barley tea, but it hasn't cooled down yet." He said, "Put in some ice," and went to take a shower, throwing all his clothes on the floor. She cleaned up after him. When he finished showering, she was already in bed trying to sleep. He lay next to her and started touching her, trying to be intimate. He thought to himself, "She doesn't seem to be working out. The volume is still the same. Not long ago, my friend was bragging about meeting a younger woman, but she doesn't have a body as good as Nahaisu. But I will give her a pass on this one because she is always wearing baggy, auntie-like clothes." He then thought, "It's been a while since we were intimate." He kept touching her, but she didn't respond. He asked himself, But why doesn't she react when I'm touching her? He called out to her, asking if she was asleep. She answered tiredly, "No." He said, "Then why aren't you responding? It's not like you're a wooden doll. Wifey wants it to be fun, wants her husband to be nice to her. What's with your insensitivity?" She answered tiredly, "I'm a little tired." He got upset and said, "Do you think you're the only one working?" She replied sadly, "I had a lot of part-time work." He retorted angrily, "Forget it, forget it. What was I expecting? Shit!" Those words hurt Jesu's feelings, underestimated her efforts, and the struggles she was going through. The night ended, and the morning began. Jesu's day started at 6 o'clock in the morning on weekdays. The flower shop didn't open until 8 a.m., but she had to get up early to make breakfast for Mincheol. She had to close the door and cook quietly, so Mincheol wouldn't wake up from the noise. He didn't eat breakfast without soup and hated reheated food, so Jesu made fresh soup every morning, no matter how simple. If you look at it that way, the person who cooks breakfast leaves the house on an empty stomach to make it to work on time. She entered the flower shop, preparing to open. She put on her apron, telling herself she would hold her hunger until lunchtime. When they opened the store, a guy entered. She was about to ask for his order when she lifted her head and saw it was the rose guy. She was surprised but acted professionally, asking if he wanted his regular order. He said yes. While he was paying, she thought to herself, "Now I see that not only is his face handsome, but his voice is also wonderful." A slow, low voice that responds with a polite, "Yes." For some reason, my ears felt ticklish. When he finished paying, she gave him the receipt and said, "There are some pending orders, so it will take a while. Please sit down and wait a moment." Suddenly, her stomach rumbled loudly enough for the guy to hear. He left silently, taking his receipt and sitting down to wait. She wondered if he had heard it, feeling embarrassed, and told herself it was nonsense. A few minutes later, a big man stood outside, looking like a chauffeur, bringing some things. The rose guy took them, and it was a coffee and sandwich. As he walked back to the shop, the girl working with Jesu admired his looks. He entered the store again to take his finished order. She gave it to him, and he took it and left, but left the sandwich on the desk. Jesu saw this and ran after him, catching up to him. "You forgot your sandwich," she said. The guy looked at her and said, "It's a gift. Please accept it." She was shocked and replied, "What? Excuse me, I can't. If you give me something like this." He didn't let her finish. "Why not? Is it because you have nothing to drink with it?" "Here," he said, handing her the coffee he was drinking. "I only had one sip. It's not poisoned." Jesu was very shocked and surprised by his actions. In a slow, low voice, he said politely, "Please accept it." Jesu returned to the store with a shocked expression, holding the sandwich and coffee the man had left for her. Her coworker noticed immediately and exclaimed, "I'm telling you, he likes you." "Look, he left the sandwich and coffee just for you. If that's not interest, then what is?" Jesu felt a mix of emotions, still processing the situation. What I thought at that moment was, do I really look that pitiful? When I glanced at my reflection in the window, I saw a haggard woman without makeup, covered in blotchy skin. The man's actions felt more like pity and charity rather than interest, and my stomach growled so loudly. If I were him, I would have found it hard to walk by too. But what if this is really a sign that he's interested? Then I should draw a line immediately, right? Considering I'm imagining things that might never happen, I suppose my job has become a bit easier. Her coworker interrupted her thoughts, asking, "What are you going to do now?" Jesu, still puzzled, responded, "About what? You said you had a boyfriend. So are you going to turn down the rose guy? Or maybe switch from your boyfriend to him?" Her coworker pressed. Jesu looked sad and replied, "He's not my boyfriend. He's my husband." Her coworker was surprised. "When you said you had a guy, you meant a husband, not a boyfriend?" "Yes," Jesu confirmed, her face reflecting sadness and hopelessness. The reason for this was because the man she called her husband had told her, "Don't make it so obvious. We split up over debt ages ago. You should only call me your husband at home. Why do you always have to tell everyone our business? It's not like it's something to brag about, living together after divorce." "Oh, this is so annoying." "All right, listen closely." Jesu and Mincheol went through a messy divorce because Mincheol took out money in Jesu's name, landing her in a heap of debt. Now, despite being divorced, They're stuck living under the same roof because he used her name for money laundering. Here's the kicker. Hae-soo is the one paying the rent and managing all the debt, while Minchul pretends nothing happened. He even demands that she calls him husband at home, even though they're not married anymore. On top of that, she's doing all the housework for him, clinging to his empty promise that they'll get married again. Though, when the story began, and he was telling her to wear makeup at home, saying things like, "Your husband would like that," he wasn't genuinely calling himself her husband. He only uses that term to manipulate her when he wants something. Now, let's get back to the story. We head to the office where Minchul works. A lady offers him a cup of coffee with a note saying, "Let's do our best." Minchul is impressed by the gesture. It's break time, and he's outside smoking with his coworkers. They're talking about the lady who brought Minchul the coffee, Ari. They discuss how beautiful she is, and mention that she's 25 years old. They agree that women in their 20s are often at their most beautiful, with smooth skin and youthful vitality. One of Minchul's coworkers notes that Ari seems particularly interested in him, pointing out that her gaze is different when she looks at him. They mention that they tried to set her up with someone else, but she declined, saying she wasn't interested. Another coworker then remarks, "You're 33, aren't you at the perfect age to meet someone? And you're still single, right?" Minchul glances at Ari and replies that he is indeed single. The workday ends, and both Hae-soo and Minchul head back home as usual. Hae-soo is doing the laundry while Minchul is resting. To break the silence, Hae-soo asks him how his day was. He responds, "Took you long enough to ask. Now you are wondering about your husband struggling? Every job is tough. What's the point in asking? You're nagging me while I'm trying to rest." Hae-soo tries to explain herself, saying she is not nagging. She starts talking about the future, saying, "Once you get your salary, we can pay off our debt faster, and then we can remarry." He responds, annoyed and indifferent, "All you talk about is damn remarriage this, remarriage that. Don't you think I'll do it once we clear the debt? Anyway, Hae-soo, how could you live without me, right? But don't push it." When a woman nags, a man is bound to run away. With those words, he gets close to her and starts asking her for money, telling her that he needs to buy cologne. She is surprised because he usually doesn't use it. He explains that since he started working, he sees many well-groomed guys out there. Even older guys are wearing cologne. She asks how much it costs, and he gives her a price that surprises her because it's too expensive. He starts complaining, "At my age, I should at least get a department store brand. I'm not going to buy the cheap kind that kids use." He walks away from her, annoyed, and says, "Fine, forget it. If you don't want to give it to me, then don't." The night ends, and the next morning begins. We see Hae-soo going through the expenses for the month. "We had a lot of expenses this month because of Minchul getting the job. We spent a lot of money just on getting a new suit and shoes. It's true that when you start working, your expenses exceed your income for a while. No matter how much we save, we're still in the red. I think I might even need to take on more work," she thinks to herself. She took an envelope and put it in her pocket, and then she left money on the table with a note saying, "Buy the cologne," deciding that on the weekend she will work at the motel from afternoon to evening. If she takes a night shift at the convenience store afterward, it shouldn't overlap. She decides to just cut down on sleep, dividing her day into pieces and filling the remaining time with work. All this just for her happy family and home. Hae-soo leaves home for her other job. We then transition to see the Rose guy, whose name we learn is Byom Tae-ha. He is with a friend and offers to buy dinner. His friend wonders if he is okay with it because Byom Tae-ha usually doesn't like noisy places. The friend starts calling other friends, and Byom Tae-ha tells him to call whoever he knows. While the friend is calling, he thinks to himself, "It's really strange. Even the guy who won't go to cheap restaurants is rushing, decisively. Lately you seem happier." The friend finishes his calls, and they both head to the restaurant to meet the others. We then see Hae-soo at her job serving at a restaurant. A group of men are drinking and eating, talking disparagingly about their wives. One of them says, "If the wife is wise and affectionate, she'll naturally earn money and sacrifice for the family, right?" Hearing this triggers a memory in Hae-soo, and she thinks to herself, they have a taste for excitement and fun, but aren't necessarily affectionate towards their wives. Is it even possible to say that we have now developed apathy? At one point, they were very affectionate. "You used to be like that. Was I not wise enough or affectionate enough? Did I ruin our relationship, as they say?" Her thoughts are interrupted by her boss calling her to serve a new customer. When she approaches, she is shocked to see that the new customer is the rose guy, Byom Tae-ha, with his friends. Byom Tae-ha entered the restaurant with his friends, one of the girls in the group thanking him for bringing them there. Hae-soo stood speechless, trying to process what was happening. Another girl approached her and said, "We're a group of 4, so we need a table." Hae-soo apologized and showed them to their seats. As she resumed her duties, she couldn't shake off her friend's words from a few days ago. She recalled the day Byom Tae-ha had given her a sandwich and coffee, and how her friend had remarked, "It seems he likes you. He's clearly interested. Buying a bouquet from you every day. He's just trying to impress you." Hae-soo's thoughts drifted into an internal monologue. "I'm not interested in him. I haven't even thought about it. I've never wanted this kind of attention. Yet, I feel embarrassed that he overheard our conversation. For some reason, I find it hard to look him in the eye." While working, Hae-soo overheard the conversation at Byom Tae-ha's table. The girl next to him asked if he was going to eat, but he replied that he had already had plenty. Hae-soo continued her internal dialogue. Is she his girlfriend? They look great together. The bouquet was probably for her. Working with younger people, I never really understood what they were talking about. Pull yourself together, na Hae-soo. The girl next to Byom Tae-ha, named Hee-ji, noticed his distracted gaze. Who are you looking at? You've been staring over there for quite some time, she asked. Before Byom Tae-ha could respond, one of his friends interrupted, teasing Hee-ji. Hee-ji, you know that's just a habit, right? Byom Tae-ha only has a slight interest in you. That's why he only hooks up with you. Whether he's looking around or headbanging, mind your business and just eat. Why do you keep staring at that person's face? Hee-ji snapped back at him, cursing, and a fight almost broke out. Byom Tae-ha subtly kicked his friend Dong-wook under the table, signaling him to calm down by saying he was burning the meat. Dong-wook understood and stayed quiet. Hee-ji turned to Byom Tae-ha again, asking, Why do you keep staring at that lady? Do you know her? With a smile, but with a coldness in his eyes, he replied, Isn't it obvious? Yes, we know each other. Hee-ji became upset, thinking to herself, What the hell? I had a feeling. But do you really know her? Later, at Hae-soo's house, she was sorting through clothes when she discovered one of them was torn. She thought, He's going to be pissed. It hasn't been that long since I bought this. It's a shame to throw it away. I should stitch it up. Minchul, lying on the bed, turned to her and asked, What are you doing instead of resting? She replied that she was sewing. He questioned her, Why are you sewing? Minchul got up, took the clothes from her hands, inspected them, and remarked coldly, Are you seriously asking me to buy clothes for you right now? If that's the case, forget about it. Hae-soo defended herself, saying, Why would I throw it away? It's still wearable. Unimpressed, Minchul retorted, Hae-soo, men don't like pitiful women like you. I don't like worn-out underwear, and I hate stretched underwear even more. It makes me feel like an old woman. Hae-soo was left speechless, suddenly remembering Byom Tae-ha. Her internal monologue returned. This all reminds me of you. I don't know what we talked about, but the whole conversation was a misunderstanding. Why do I keep remembering embarrassing and shameful memories, despite trying so hard to forget them? She took the clothes back, and Minchul continued. Whatever I say will always end up being depressing. He moved closer, hugged her, and added, Anyway, Hae-soo, you have no charm, no mood, and you're clueless about men. Despite all that, I still live with you. After all, I'm the only one, right? Feeling hopeless and miserable, Hae-soo believed everything Minchul said, which only deepened her self-loathing. She thought to herself, In winter, a chilling cold pierces through the walls of our semi-basement apartment, stinging our skin. Trapped in this narrow, run-down house, our lives are sadly ordinary, yet unfortunate. I might hate living like this, but I can endure it all because of you. The night passed, and morning came. While making breakfast, Hae-soo heard a weather announcement that there was a chance of rain in the afternoon, expected to continue until late at night. She planned, It will probably rain until the evening. I should take an umbrella with me. She noticed they only had 2 umbrellas, and thought, Which one is still intact? This one looks fine. It still works. It's not completely broken. I'll use it a little more, then throw it away. I'll let Minchul use the other one. At Minchel's workplace, he was making a cup of coffee when Ari entered. Looking for a new pack of coffee, he told her where to find it. Suddenly, Ari screamed and clung to Minchel's arm, frightened by a bug. He chuckled, saying, "I thought I did something wrong. Are you scared of bugs?" She admitted, "I'm really extremely scared of bugs." Minchel found her reaction cute and offered to capture the bug for her. She pointed to where it was, still holding his arm, but the bug had disappeared. She insisted it was there, and Minchel, lost in thought, had an internal monologue. Haisu has never been afraid of bugs. Seeing someone act like this is quite refreshing. This makes coming to work worthwhile. Back at the flower shop, Haisu's colleague was exhausted and wondered, "Where is the rose guy?" She said aloud, "It's somewhat comforting to see his handsome face at least once during this tough part-time job and life." Her wish came true as the rose guy, Biam Teha, entered the store. Feeling awkward, Haisu told her colleague, "I'll be out back, tending to the flowers. You should take the order." Her colleague was shocked and confused, but eventually approached Biam Teha to take his order. He requested his usual, but his eyes followed Haisu as she retreated. After work, it started raining as expected. As Haisu tried to open her umbrella, she thought to herself, "Fortunately, I didn't run into him today, but I can't keep avoiding him like this forever. Let's not do that from tomorrow onwards. Embarrassing moments will quickly fade after a few days. They said there would be heavy rain, and it's really pouring. I hope Minchel remembered to take his umbrella." When Haisu opened her umbrella, she found it completely broken. She was shocked and thought, "It seemed fine this morning, but now it's completely broken." The convenience store isn't too far, but it's not close enough to run through this rain. Since the forecast said it would rain until late at night, I can't just wait here indefinitely. Poverty quietly devours people. A cheap umbrella. If only I hadn't procrastinated and bought a new one in advance, I wouldn't be in this situation. What should I do? Minchel will probably hate it if I call him. He's seemed tired lately, adjusting to the new job. I'll wait it out a little longer. Suddenly, an umbrella appeared over her. Haisu turned to see who it was, and it was Biam Teha. He asked, "Where do you live?" Trying to avoid eye contact, she replied, "No, I'll be fine. My place is a bit far from here. You can go ahead first." He got closer, holding the umbrella over both of them, and said, "It's supposed to rain until dawn. Let's just share an umbrella." Haisu was speechless and didn't know how to react. She thought to herself, "It's as if the sky is mocking me for making such a presumptuous mistake. This whole situation has made it quite impossible to avoid this man." In the end, she shared the umbrella with him and thanked him. As they walked, Haisu reflected internally. On the way home, contrary to my expectations, this man did not utter a single word. Thanks to the sound of the heavy rain, being together under a one-person umbrella wasn't as awkward as I thought. The rain fell heavily, and he walked at a pace unusually slow for a man of his uncommon height. Minchel is also tall, but whenever we walked together, I always lagged behind him. Perhaps it became a habit because, for once, someone was being considerate. Avoiding eye contact, Haisu asked, "Your girlfriend won't like this. What if she finds out you shared an umbrella with a stranger?" Biam Teha looked at her with a smile and said, "Who said I have a girlfriend?" Haisu replied, "Huh? Don't you have one? The girl I saw with you at the BBQ restaurant?" Biam Teha answered, "She's not my girlfriend. She's just a friend." Haisu looked puzzled, and he reassured her, "It's true, please believe me." She nodded and replied that she believed him, but thought to herself, "After responding like that, those words sound strange." Feeling awkward, Haisu continued thinking to herself, "There's no way anyone would do something like this for a complete stranger." Her thoughts were interrupted when a car approached quickly, about to run them over. In a split second, Biam Teha intervened, grabbing her and swiftly moving her to the other side of the road. He shielded her from the water sprayed up by the speeding car, ensuring she stayed dry and safe. Shocked, Haisu didn't expect that to happen. Biam Teha said, "I'm sorry, the car came way too fast. I was worried you'd get hurt." Still panicked, Haisu replied that it was fine, thinking, "That was scary. What kind of driving was that?" He interrupted her thoughts, saying, "I'm big, right?" She puzzled. "What?" And he explained, "I covered you from getting splashed." Haisu understood and shyly replied, "Yes." They continued on their way home, But Haesu couldn't hold back her thoughts, thinking, there's no way anyone would do something like this for a complete stranger. Now that I see it, the other side of his coat is completely soaked, whereas my clothes aren't wet at all. Should I even ask if you're interested in me? If that's the case, I should draw the line now. Haesu asked him, why are you so kind to me? With a soft smile and gentle tone, he replied, you found me out. I have my motives. I just want to get to know you. Haesu responded, no thanks. He asked, why not? She answered, you're young and seem popular among women. Why are you trying to date an older woman you don't know? He replied, if I'm young and popular among women, why can't I get along with an older woman? She firmly said, you can't, so stop. Soon enough, they arrived at Haesu's house. She thanked him for his kindness. Beom Tai-ha asked, so will we still continue being strangers? She replied, yes. And he agreed without complaining, leaving Haesu with her thoughts. I thought you would be a bit more stubborn. The man changed his mind more easily than I expected. The view of his back after giving a strangely obedient response was somehow long and solid, poignant. How did you end up becoming interested in someone like me? Maybe it's because you're still young. Sometimes it's just out of curiosity. When Haesu got inside the house, she noticed that Minchul didn't take the umbrella. She remembered the words of the man at the restaurant who said, when it comes to men, it's all up to women. If his wife is wise and kind, then the man has to earn the money and make sacrifices for the family, right? Haesu decided to pick him up from his company, thinking he would probably appreciate it. When she arrived, she tried to contact him, saying to herself, it seems like our paths diverged. You didn't even see the text I sent about picking you up because your battery has died. I shouldn't have come all this way without confirming or making any plans with you. I'll head back home now. Just then, she saw Minchul coming out of the company with Ari, sharing an umbrella, and Ari holding Minchul's arm tightly as if they were a couple. Haesu was shocked and speechless. Minchul was equally surprised to see her. Ari pouted at Haesu and asked who she was. Minchul said that Haesu was just a close friend, similar to a relative, and that she came to pick him up since it was raining heavily. Ari apologized for her misunderstanding. Powerless and hopeless, Haesu didn't know how to react. Minchul left Ari and joined Haesu under the umbrella. Once Ari was gone, Minchul started complaining. Why did you come all the way to pick me up without asking? It's unlike you to do nice things. Why now all of a sudden? What are you doing, Haesu? Aren't we leaving? In a hopeless and sad tone, Haesu asked, who is she, that person just now? Minchul answered carelessly, Ari. She's someone I know. We work at the same company. What's with that expression? She's just a co-worker. Do you think everything boils down to attraction between men and women? Haesu tried to explain herself, but Minchul interrupted. Calm down, just chill a bit. I don't know if it's because you don't have friends or people to contact, but originally in our society, you could not be close with the opposite gender. Now we have colleagues, friends, or something similar. Now, Haesu, please, don't be so embarrassing. Haesu kept silent as they walked home. She remembered Beom Tai-ha and what he had said. I would like to get to know you, she thought. Suddenly, lingering in my ears, was the low voice that rang inside the umbrella. Now I see. The opportunity I threw away like it was nothing special. The next morning, Haesu was at her workplace, the flower shop. Both Haesu and her colleague were exhausted from the many orders that day. The girl said, I feel like my body will collapse. Haesu replied, if you're tired, rest. I'll organize the rest. The girl thanked Haesu, hoping they wouldn't get any customers until they were off work, wishing to see Beom Tai-ha, as his face gave her strength. But before the girl could rest, a customer entered the store. It was Beom Tai-ha. The girl was hopeful to see him, but thought she should go since he usually ordered from Haesu. When Haesu tried to ask for his order, he passed her as if she wasn't there, leaving a look of surprise on her face. 2 weeks had passed, and Haesu found herself in the flower shop as usual. She mused internally. 2 weeks have gone by. Minchul often comes home late or works on weekends because he's busy. Other than that, everything feels the same. After the day I told him we could never be acquaintances, he quickly disappeared from my life. She remembered Beom Tai-ha's words, I will listen to you, and continued thinking. With those words, which were suspiciously obedient, he moved completely out of my radius. It seemed his interest in me was nothing more than fleeting curiosity. I thought it was fortunate it wasn't a deeper feeling. The wounds left by deep emotions leave scars that can't be erased. While Hai-Soo was serving at the restaurant, she thought about messaging Min-cheol to ask if he would be late. The previous night, she had fallen asleep without seeing him come in, and she hadn't heard from him yet. She wondered if he had gotten to work safely, but her thoughts were interrupted by a customer asking her to bring servings of pork belly to their table. She assured him she would and began serving. The same customer, sitting with his employees, started a conversation with one of them, who asked, "How do you feel after coming here? Are you feeling better after your divorce?" The man responded happily, "Oh, I'm glad I don't have to listen to that annoying woman's nagging anymore." He then put his hand on the shoulder of the female employee next to him, making her uncomfortable. He continued, "I don't feel awkward sitting next to a young female employee at a company dinner like this." As they continued their meal, another employee encouraged him to enjoy his second youth and suggested he meet some women. The man replied, "Is that so? Well, it's not good for a man to be alone for too long." He looked at Hai-Soo and thought, "Wouldn't it be great to start a new life with a woman who's naturally pretty, even without makeup?" I've watched her during company dinners at this restaurant. She seems like a hard-working woman who doesn't know luxury. I think we're only about 10 years apart in age. Since I'm a regular customer, she probably knows I'm a boss and will be thrilled when I hit on her. Eventually, the man got drunk and lifted his cup, expecting someone to pour him a drink. When one of his employees offered to pour it, he refused and insisted Hai-Soo do it. The girl who worked with Hai-Soo ran to the restaurant boss, telling him that a customer was scolding Hai-Soo because she refused his request. The man kept yelling, "Do you know who I am? I'm the future president of a store selling tech every day." The restaurant owner intervened, trying to calm the man down and apologizing on behalf of Hai-Soo. But the man refused the apology and demanded that Hai-Soo kneel and apologize. Hai-Soo was speechless, not expecting the situation to escalate this way. The man thought to himself, "You're just a serving girl in a place like this, and you have the nerve to respond to me like this? I need to break your spirit." The restaurant owner became angry at the customer's demand and told him that he shouldn't treat his employees that way. The customer yelled that if Hai-Soo didn't kneel, he would stop doing business with the restaurant. Hai-Soo, surprising everyone, knelt and apologized, saying, "I deeply apologize. I was wrong. Please forgive me." The boss tried to make her stand, but she insisted, "It is my fault the customer is upset. I apologize again. Please visit our store often in the future." After work, Hai-Soo and her boss were the last two left in the restaurant. Her boss took her aside and said, "I heard what happened. That guy was really out of line. You didn't have to go that far." Hai-Soo replied, "No. These days, there aren't many customers. Losing a big company like that would be a huge blow. I know how considerate you've been to me, so I can't cause trouble." Her boss, feeling sorry for her, said, "It's a tough world with many bad people, but there are good ones too." Hai-Soo reassured him she was okay, reflecting to herself, "It wasn't an empty remark. I was really okay. I've been working all sorts of jobs since I was young, and I've been through a lot. There were many nights when I couldn't sleep because of sadness. The heart that was hurt has hardened and become accustomed to wounds." Their conversation ended, and they closed the restaurant. Her boss asked if she was going home alone and offered her a ride, but she declined, saying she had a part-time job at a convenience store. Her boss was shocked and wondered when she rested, but she explained it was only on weekends. He sighed and hesitantly asked if she had a lot of debt. Hai-Soo slipped into a flashback of masked men barging into her apartment, destroying everything. Her ex-husband, Min-cheol, had borrowed money under her name, trapping them in a nightmare. He had promised her, "If you pay this debt, we'll remarry and live happily ever after." She snapped back to the present, answered her boss with a simple, "Yes," and they parted ways. While walking to her part-time job, she thought, "Even when the wind knocks on the old door, I wonder if it's a debt collector, but I still dream of the future." Meanwhile, the customer who had yelled at her felt good about himself until Baeom Tae-ha, who was in an alley, dressed all in black, started walking behind him and then kicked the customer to the ground. Baeom Tae-ha pulled his hair and asked menacingly, "Who is the person who wanted to die? Do you know?" The man, in pain, started yelling and cursing at Baeom Tae-ha. Baeom Tae-ha told the customer to hit him. When the customer did, Teha barely flinched, wiped the blood away, and asked, "Do you know who I am?" The man, trembling, replied, "What the hell are you saying? How would I know who you are?" In a rough tone, Teha said, "You don't know? This is your chance to find out." Teha then began beating the customer. Meanwhile, at the convenience store, Jesus was organizing the products and cleaning. She was tired, but found it easier to work in peace without company. When the store was empty, she decided to rest, but someone entered. To her surprise, it was Teha. Jesus wondered, "Do we live in the same neighborhood? We've run into each other at the flower shop, the restaurant, and now the convenience store. Since I'm the only one working, there's no one to take his order for me. Whatever. We're supposed to be strangers. Just treat him like any other customer." She tried to avoid eye contact, but when he placed his order for a Band-Aid, she looked up and saw he had been punched in the face.